Welcome back to the David Pakman Show.
Bonus show. David Pakman Show bonus show. Let's do a quick follow-up to a couple things. First of all, the guy who received the life sentence for lending his car to a friend who then went to go rob a woman who was selling pot out of a safe in her house, and the whole thing ended up in the death of one of those woman's teenage daughters. Apparently, I was sent an article that makes it seem that the guy knew the plans of the friend he lent the car to. He knew that they were going to rob a woman. Now, here's my question. Let's say he knew that there was going to be a robbery. The whole plan was a robbery. The murder happened by accident. The plan was not to murder anyone, but a murder happened. So should he still be charged? Should he still get life in prison?
I still have a hard time with that, even knowing that it was going to be used for a robbery. I mean, certainly he could be an accessory to the robbery. There are often these rules where if in the commission of a felony someone dies, it's never manslaughter. It's always murder. And he was complicit in the commission of the robbery, which may have been a felony, I guess, depending on whether it was armed, I assume it was, and whether what was stolen. So I guess on a technicality, that definitely makes it worse, but I still have a hard time with such a harsh sentence for the guy who loaned the car. But I feel less bad about it, I guess.
Well, I still think it's a bit much. I'll agree with you, I guess, in general. But what kind of idiot lends his friend to a car who says, hey, I'm going to go rob a woman. Can I borrow your car?
Lends his car to a friend, rather, not lends his friend to a car.
Right. You can't really lend your friend to a car. Maybe you can. I don't know. You can marry a Ferris wheel. You can probably lend your friend to a car. And let's do a quick follow-up. Well, that was just a true story. A woman married a Ferris wheel. Or was it a roller coaster?
I thought it was a train, to be honest with you. I don't remember the Ferris wheel or the roller coaster.
It is in Florida. It's broken down now. It was all done legally. It really happened. It was named Bruce. I remember that. Let's do a follow-up to the hangout, the Spreecast hangout.
Yeah.
That I think went really well.
Well, so we have to set it up though, Lewis. Yesterday, we had members and certain Indiegogo contributors in a kind of town hall 1 hour question and answer thing where people just asked us questions and we answered them.
Yeah. You're right. That's what happened. I thought that was clear. I don't know, but it did last about an hour. David's connection was terrible, but it did go really well.
Here's the funny thing, Lewis. My connection may have been terrible to you, but when you look back at the recording of it, I'm not skipping, and my audio is just as good, and video is just as good as yours. So even though my connection to you may not have been good, to the Spreecast server, we had equivalent connections.
Interesting. Well, I wonder what everyone else's point of view was who was watching. Hopefully, like the end result. But to me, you were incredibly choppy, delayed, blocky, and the sound quality was terrible. But anyway, what was the highest number of people we had in there at any one time? Probably around 40?
Yeah, 40 or 50 people joined, which is as expected. I mean, we sent out things where people could RSVP, and we didn't have more than 40 people RSVP to any one time slot. It's hard to find a time slot that obviously works for everybody. And there were, over 1,000 people overall that had RSVP'd. So I think it was a success. I mean, it went smoothly. We had Dennis the intern running the questions and answers and putting them up. I think we could definitely look at doing something like this. I definitely wouldn't say monthly, but I think quarterly at different times. Like maybe the next one would be maybe at like 3 or 4 p.m. Maybe that would work better for a different group of people.
Agreed. Yeah, I think it went well. People asked a lot of great questions, and it was an interesting experience compared to our normal blocked out and regimented show style. So, yeah, that was good. Let's talk about this balloon launch thing. And forgive me if my screen goes berserk here, but apparently in 1986, Cleveland decided to try and break the world record for largest balloon launch. So how many balloons can you release at one time? Yeah, really. And they released 1.5 million balloons straight up into the sky. Now, when you hear about this day and age, first of all, do you think that the government would ever allow this to happen?
I would think no, but at the same
State
time,
and federal, I mean, at any level, would anywhere allow this to happen?
I would guess probably not. I don't know.
That would be my guess too. I guess in '86 we were a lot more ignorant. So of course, the balloons were released. I guess they got caught in a storm, and when they drifted down to Earth, it caused a lot of chaos and, of course, tons of pollution, as this is non-biodegradable plastic garbage at that point, which is incredible. This is just one of the stupidest things I've ever heard in my life. I just can't believe how stupid these people are. And who gives a fuck about how many balloons you can launch into the air simultaneously?
There's a Seinfeld episode where Kramer has balloons and he says, "Oh no, these are my everyday balloons, not my birthday balloons." And there's something almost like quaint about balloons and caring about balloons as an adult. It's just something about it's a little funny.
Yeah, it's something about it is odd, is what it is. And it was known as Balloon Fest '86. I guess it was a fundraising effort organized by the United Way. And it's just mind-blowing.
All right, but Lewis, so it was for charity then. They probably raised a whole bunch of money doing this.
Who cares? There's better ways to do it than polluting and destroying things. But thousands of volunteers worked, and the pictures are incredible if you want to look this up. And for a while, it looked pretty amazing. The pictures, like I said, are pretty incredible. And I guess the balloons started clouding the sky, shut down a runway at a local airport, interrupted Coast Guard attempts to rescue a pair of fishermen, scared a bunch of horses, made a huge mess, and it was just a total disaster. And this kind of reminds me of a story. I don't know if we covered this story, or if it was just a story I saw on the local news back home, that there was a young girl who died, and like a year after her death or something, her family got together with tons of balloons and released them into the air and ended up getting fined. Maybe ended up getting fined, or maybe I just remember thinking to myself that this is actually illegal and that they should be getting fined. Regardless, I mean, it's just, you're polluting and it's just stupid. What are your thoughts on this whole thing? Do you agree with me that this is the balloons, letting balloons into the air, is just terrible?
It is gross pollution. I mean, it's pollution in general, and it happens to be with non-biodegradable materials. I don't know if balloons now are biodegradable. I'm not really up on balloon technology. But yeah, I mean, you can't be doing this. It's obviously a hazard. It's a hazard to planes. It's a hazard to so many different things. At the same time, though, there is something about releasing a balloon into the sky that as a kid, kids think are cool. You wonder, where will it go? Does it just keep going up? You sit there and watch it for 15, 20 minutes until it goes out of eyesight. So there's something about releasing a single balloon that I remember as part of my childhood, but mass releases of balloons into the sky obviously are problematic.
Very problematic. And now I'm thinking of 99 Red Balloons, of course, the song, which Goldfinger did a great cover of, might I add. Everyone needs to check that out if they haven't heard it. All right, now let's talk about this boy who was stuck in a plane wheel well on a flight from California to Hawaii. Some people said that this story might be faked. But I guess since 1947, there are about 105 documented people who were stowed away in a wheel well. 25 of them survived. We can add this boy to those numbers. But apparently what they're saying is that he survived because he basically went into a state of suspended animation, much like the guy we talked about who they found in a car somewhere, I think in one of those Scandinavian countries, who apparently had been in there for 1 to 2 months, and survived because he essentially went into hibernation or a state of suspended animation in the cold, and the cold is what triggers this. So this flight went as high as 38,000 feet. That is obviously incredibly high, incredibly cold. I guess temperatures can get down to about 80 degrees below zero. So a lot of people are saying that this just probably didn't happen. But I mean, according to all the experts and security camera footage and everything, it seems to have really happened.
Yeah, I'm actually not as interested in the medical aspect of it because we have, like you said, other people have survived this in the past. I'm more interested in the security aspect. How did the kid get there? How did the kid get into the wheel well of a plane, of a commercial airplane?
That is a great question. One that this article does not tackle. This one is just about the science of it. But like the stories we talked about where people just traversed entire runways and breached airport security completely, we know that airport security is not what it seems. Also, me bringing a huge knife on a plane.
That's also not what is designed to have to be happening, I would say.
I would just say in general that airport security in this country is a joke, and it doesn't work. I wish I was wrong.
Louis, do you think that 80%, to follow your theory, are 80% of TSA and U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, are they also 80% incompetent?
I don't know. I would say that probably, yeah, probably. I mean, I think it depends on what they're doing. It's not that I think 80 to 90% of people are incompetent at any job they're given. It's that I think 80 to 90% of people are incompetent at whatever job they currently have.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But it's not just that. It has to do with the technology. It has to do with like those surveillance and monitoring systems that are supposed to encompass airports, the perimeter defenses. We know that those just don't work. And I think a lot of money was made by these private companies, tax dollar money, the taxpayer money in a lot of cases, and for systems that they probably knew didn't work too well. It's like these home security systems, like where someone breaks in and an alarm's set off, and then they call you, and the police show up 20 to 30 minutes later.
Sometimes those do work. I know people who have those systems because their houses have actually been broken into, and they call you, and if they don't reach you right away, police go out immediately, and police have shown up within 90 to 120 seconds in some cases. They happen to live close to the nearest police station, so that probably helped, but it's not always like you're describing.
Right. Anyway, if someone's trying to kill you with a gun, 90 seconds is more than enough time. But anyway, that's what I think is going on with airports. But they say that this kid, back to the science of it, might have avoided frostbite and completely freezing because of heat from the hydraulic lines that power the wheel wells, as well as the wheels themselves. Could have provided a slight buffer from the cold. And it's incredible. I mean, I wonder about if he walked away from this completely unscathed.
What was the airline, Louis? Do we know what airline and type of plane or any of that information it was?
There's a picture of a Delta plane, so perhaps it was Delta, but I don't think the article tells exactly what it was. So, yeah, not sure. But pretty amazing. I hope it never happens to me. And like David said, how do you end up in a wheel well? It's like the kid strolled onto the tarmac, wanted to climb something, so climbed up the wheels into the wheel well and just kind of hid there until the plane took off, which is incredible because it's not like he was hugging the wheel and the wheel was retracted into the plane already in midair, I think he probably would have been blown off. So he was probably just hiding in there. 16-year-old kid, which is also weird because, I mean, you would think a 16-year-old kid knows better than to do something like that. I just wonder about the motivation behind this whole thing.
It's crazy.
Yeah, crazy stuff. All right. Well, that's all for today.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.